Committee public hearing tonight on January 15th at 7 p.m. We're starting at 7:02. Could we please call the roll?
Sabrina Alberg. Peter Bilo.
Here.
Catherine Consalvo.
Here.
Julie Hammond.
Here.
Elizabeth Costa.
Here.
Sheila Lowe's. Sue Sherman. Brian Smith.
Here.
Karen White.
Here.
And for school board, I have Katie Knudsen.
Here.
Alyssa Kowalczyk.
Here.
Paula Kane.
Here.
Shauna Manthorn.
Here.
Jack Sapia. Mark Sherwood.
Here.
Marianne Springer. Brianna Woodworth.
Here.
And Donald Woodworth.
Here.
I'd like us all to please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. We'll start with the mission statement of Timberlane Regional School District. Mission of the Timberlane Regional School District is to engage all students in challenging and relevant learning opportunities, emphasizing high aspirations and personal growth. This is the members of the Budget Committee, and I'm going to ask us all to go town by town and just introduce ourselves. So we'll start with Atkinson.
I'm Catherine Consalvo. Julie
Uh,
Hammond.
Danville. Sabrina Alberg is not here tonight. She's not well. Brian.
Brian Smith.
Plasto, I'm Liz Costa.
Peter Bilo.
And Sue Sherman is excused. And Sandow
I'm Karen White, and
And
Sheila
is
not
excused.
tonight.
We also have the school board. I would like to have the school board introduce themselves. We'll start with Atkinson.
Don Woodward.
And Jack Sapia is not here. Danville
Brian Springer. Bree Woodworth.
and Plastow
Katie Knudsen. Alyssa Kowalczyk. Shauna Manthorn.
and Sandow.
Mark Sherwood. Paula Kane.
Okay, the agenda, we are going to go through the meeting, purpose and rules, first and second session of the annual meeting, the articles, the administrator's report. The purpose of the public hearing is to discuss or disclose the preliminary proposed 2026-27 Timberlane budget appropriations to the public, to allow for public testimony and questions on the budget prior to finalization by the Budget Committee. After the public hearing, the Budget Committee will finalize the budget for presentation at deliberative session. Only Budget Committee members may make motions to change the budget at the public hearing. Meeting ground rules. We're going to ask that you silence phones, stand at the microphone if you wish to speak, wait to be recognized before speaking, state your name and your town for the record, please be respectful, profanity, personal attacks, rude or slanderous remarks will not be tolerated, offenders will be asked to leave the meeting. Comment shall be limited to the topic at hand. Speakers will be allotted up to 5 minutes to make their statement. Allow those who have not spoken an opportunity to do so before offering additional comment. If you are requesting to speak for the second time, it must be to discuss something new and not a repetition of previous comments, and the chair reserves the right to discontinue comment on a topic in order to move the meeting along. The first session of the annual meeting, you are hereby notified to meet at the Performing Arts Center on Thursday, the 5th of February, 2026, at 7 p.m. This session shall consist of explanation, discussion, and debate of warrant articles 2 through 18, warrant articles may be amended subject to the following limitations. A, warrant articles whose wording is prescribed by law shall not be amended. B, warrant articles that are amended shall be placed on the official ballot for a final vote on the main motion as amended. And C, no warrant article shall be amended to eliminate the subject matter of the article. The second session of the annual meeting, voting day, voting on warrant articles 1 through 18 will be conducted by official ballot to be held in conjunction with town meeting voting to be held on Tuesday, the 10th day of March, 2026 at town election polls in Atkinson, Danville, Plastow, and Sandown, New Hampshire. Atkinson's voting will be conducted at the Atkinson Community Center from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Danville voting will be conducted at Danville Community Center from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Plastow voting will be conducted at the Plastow Fish and Game from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Sandown voting will be conducted at the Sandown Town Hall from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The first article is election of officers. Atkinson has one, Danville has one, and Plastow has one school district officer, each for a 3-year term. Budget Committee, Atkinson and Danville have one member apiece, and Plastow has 2 members. In all towns, there will be a district moderator for a 3-year term. Filing dates for candidacy for school board and budget committee seats. First day for candidacy is Wednesday, January 21st, 2026 at 8 a.m. Last date to file for candidacy is Friday, January 30th, 2026 at 5 p.m. I'm going to ask the superintendent to unpack the supplemental budget package.
All right, Liz, thank you so much. I'm happy to do that. This is a little bit new this year, but each year we give the folks that come into this building a packet in your hand, and it's the supplemental budget package. It's the same package that's available online. And I do want to take some moments now to unpack that package for the group so we all know what we have in front of us. And I'm really doing that for 3 primary purposes. The first is to provide a full disclosure of the fiscal 27 proposed budget appropriations to the public. The second is to inform questions and comments and discussion tonight at the public hearing. And the third, and perhaps most important, is to encourage voter questions to the SAU in preparation for the deliberative session, which will be 15 days from today. So if you flip to the table of contents, that's where I'm going to primarily be, and I want to describe a little bit of detail about what is in front of you. The table of contents begins, and the first thing there is the complete warrant in front of you. We do have 19 articles this year at this time, so please do excuse the typo of 18 in the slideshow. Of those 19 articles, a few things I want to point out is 4 of them are collective bargaining agreements, 4 of them are by petition. A note that the school board started reviewing the draft warrant on October 16th and did so successively at every meeting thereafter until tonight. 2 more notes about the articles. One, Article 15, you will notice that there is no language about taxation. And I want to be very clear, there should not be, or there should be language there that says that there will be no monies raised by taxation for Article 15. It's not there in your packet. It will be there in the future. The second note is that you'll also see in bold under most articles, either recommended by school board or recommended by budget committee. I don't want to have any confusion that that is a placeholder right now, and these boards and committees will vote, and you will see numbered tallies there about where each board stands on each article. So I don't want the misnomer that they're already recommending an article. They're going to vote on these later. It's simply a placeholder. The next major portion of your packet begins on page 9. It's really focused on the fiscal 27 proposed budget. On page 9, you will see the budget overview. This compiles, it looks at voted 26. It very clearly lists out the 17 adjustments and with specific detailed notes of those adjustments about how we arrived at fiscal 27 proposed budget. On page 10, you'll find the recap of the fiscal 27 proposed budget. There, you will see it recaps the voted 26 again, which is Article 2, the operating budget, plus all other cost-associated warrant articles. It also includes a pie graph there. You can see clearly salaries, benefits, and the operating discrepancy and differences across the district, both in dollars and in percents. The next page after that, on page 11, is the budget recap by object code. This really is the 30,000-foot view of the district. It has 4 years of fiscal actuals in addition to the voted 26, in addition to the proposed budget. So a really good one-page measure to get a dipstick of the district. And lastly, for 27, there's the proposed budget report. This is the full line item disclosure of the fiscal 27 proposed budget. Moving to the default budget, there are some articles there for you to look at. First, on page 31 is the actual statute for computing the default budget, and it includes the definitions that are most important for people to be familiar with. Page 32 has the default budget overview. Again, default begins with voted 26. You will see there 9 adjustments made to the default with those detailed notes about how we arrived at the school board approved budget for the default for fiscal 27. Page 33 is the default budget recap. It again recaps the voted budget of 26. And again, it divides, and you can give a very clear picture of the 3 major components of the district: salaries, benefits, and operating. And again, that's mapped out for you in dollars and percent of the whole. And lastly, there's the budget report. Again, this is the full disclosure of the line item budget through account number for fiscal 27 for the default. Moving forward in the packet to page 51. There you'll find the estimated revenue budget for fiscal 27. This will outline federal, state, and local monies so that we are able to compute what is assessed from the district. On page 52, we have a tax rate trend report by town. This covers the year 2017 to 2025. It includes town budgets, apportionments, tax rates, valuations, and most importantly, enrollment. On page 53, you have an actual expense trend report. Again, this will span from 2017 to 2025. I want to be very clear that this includes all funds. So it is the the general fund plus food service fund and grant fund and PAC fund. So we consider that an all-in piece. You also have an enrollment report on page 55. This is the current operational year we were in, and these numbers are for October of that year. On page 56, you have a voting trend report. This goes all the way back for Timberlane history to 2010. There, it's a one-page snapshot. You can see what was proposed each year, what was the default budget each year. You can see what the vote results were, and you can see the number of people who voted by town and also the percent of eligible voters who voted by town. And lastly, in your packets on page 57 and 58, there's a mandatory report to voters on school expenses. This is a new state law that went into effect on July 1st of this year. It's RSA 189:76. The law requires this information to be posted 7 days before a deliberative. We're including it in the packet here for you tonight well in advance. It'll be here, it'll be on our website. It'll also be in 2 public places, specifically the SAU and the entrance to the PAC, where we will hold a deliberative session 15 days from now. And Liz, that is me unpacking those things, and again, it's for 3 very distinct purposes. Also wanted to close and have folks understand where we were through the budget summary process and highlighting some key dates and components through the process. Beginning in September and all the way through November, we had budget proposals that came before the budget committee, and they were accepted for review. And at the end of that first part of the process, that proposed budget stood, rounded numbers, at $92 million. On November 13th and 14th, I was asked to give presentations of non-required cost items to the budget committee. Those non-required cost items totaled $10 million in options for the budget committee to consider as reductions. On December 11th, there was a substantial meeting with the school board and the budget committee. During that meeting, there were reductions made to the proposed budget that brought it from 92 to 89.5. The budget committee then met again on December 15th. This was their last regular meeting. The Budget Committee determined using that presentation of non-required cost items to make further reductions, bringing the proposed budget, which is in front of you tonight, roundabout to $88 million. Those reductions that took place there come from three primary areas. The first is capital. The Budget Committee reduced $1.3 million from the proposed for capital. The Budget Committee also worked with the school board and was able to push the lease payment into the next fiscal year, thereby taking it out of an appropriation in fiscal 27. It's a $900,000 reduction. And they also associated $1.8 million of reduction that reflected 21 staff positions. Of those 21 staff positions, 17 of them are currently filled with human beings working with kids, which ends us tonight to consider and to look through an $88 million proposed budget.
So Article 2, operating budget. Shall the voters of Timberlane Regional School District raise and appropriate $87,970,069. And should the article be defeated, the operating budget shall be $89,347,430, sorry. That would be the costs from this operating budget. We have listed on the bottom the estimated education tax impact for each town if the article passes and if the article fails. The budget process has been developed in accordance with applicable New Hampshire statutes, RSAs 32, 33, and 195. The incorporation of the Budget Committee's mission statement is that we will develop a fiscally sound annual budget that will optimally meet the needs of the district by working with district personnel and in consultation with the school board. Throughout the budget process, the Budget Committee will take into consideration district taxpayers as well as support for the staff, rigor, and evaluation and accountability initiatives that drive student achievement. There is a review of actual expenditures in prior years, consideration for staffing and enrollment projections, deliberation of capital improvements requested within the CIP, in collaboration with administrators, department heads, teachers, and others. The proposed budget overview for fiscal year 2027, the proposed budget is $87,970,069. The voted budget for fiscal year 2026 is $82,084,912. The net change is $5,885,157. The percentage change is 7.2%. Budget drivers. Increases are professional services, employee benefits, salary, student transportation, equipment, supplies, books, and information resources. The decreases were capital improvement, utilities, and lease payment. We have salaries and benefits budget by object code for the salaries, health and dental, FICA, non-teacher retirement, teacher retirement, tuition reimbursement, workers' comp, and other benefits for employees. Subtotal for salaries and benefits for fiscal year 2027 proposed is $64,010,503. The expense budget by object code is office and administrative services, professional services, cleaning services, snow removal, repair and maintenance, plumbing and electric repair, capital improvement, student transportation, insurance, telephone and communications, printing and advertising, tuition, workshops, supplies, utilities, books, info, resources, software, equipment, dues, fees, lease payment, miscellaneous expenses, and fund transfers. The subtotal is $23,959,566. At this time, is there any discussion on the budget?
Ryan Lebrecq, 174 Main Street, Plastow. This budget represents, for someone with a $450,000 property, $1,000 a year to a $2,300 a year increase to a single property valued at $450,000, which many houses are valued a lot higher than that, especially for those that are seniors that have lived in their houses for a lot of years. Seems like we approach the budget the way we do every year, which is just throw everything in the kitchen sink in, throw a $92 million budget, and then cut, throw some scraps back to the taxpayers to get it down a little bit. Same thing happened again this year. It's not the right way to budget. I'd like to know, one, where are we at? Where are we running against, cost-wise, the current year's budget currently?
Our last report to the school board, Ryan, was an $84.5 million spend, and we're prepared to have an additional report that will include the December actuals at the next school board meeting, which is a week from tonight.
And what are you doing to reduce the amount to get it to the approved budget? What are you actively doing to reduce costs in order to hit and attain the budget that was approved by the voters?
We've had conversations with our principals and directors in terms of where their encumbrances stand, so the business office has a really good idea of where things are. We're meeting with those directors of the highlighted areas, primarily transportation and special education, and we're making crosswalks to other areas of the budget where we are going to be underspent to be sure that we will meet the voted budget by the conclusion of the fiscal year.
In the current proposed budget, you indicated that there's a reduction in personnel, correct?
I indicated that the budget committee removed dollars and correlated that to the positions, correct, and that was 21 positions.
And of those 21, there are how many of the reductions are from the SAU staff that sit in the SAU building?
The budget committee considered one administrative reduction in that count of 21.
And what's the percent of the cost on the SAU portion compared to the remainder?
I don't have that number in front of me, Ryan.
Okay. These ELA proficiencies up here, is this a state required calculation that you're putting under the operating budget?
Correct. It's an RSA now that all public school districts in New Hampshire are required to put not only the cost per pupil, which you'll also see there, which is A, but also the proficiency scores. And that is, those proficiency scores are state assessments. So that begins in 3rd grade and moves all the way up to the SATs in 11th grade.
Are you proud of the proficiency scores?
No.
What's being done other than throwing money at the problem to increase proficiencies?
A whole lot is being done. To not get in all the detail tonight, we're going to be presenting a complete assessment report after it's gone through curriculum instruction and assessment to the school board on the 22nd. Part of that presentation is also our principals joining us to talk about those specific action items. What I'd like to stress, Ryan, is that this is one measure on one day, and there are many, many other measures in terms of how we're looking at student achievement and growth in our district, and I hope that families are able to see that and tune into that.
Well, we definitely have a math, reading, and science problem. Math and science are probably the worst. What's the enrollment projected for this budget? Whatever number it is. Total enrollment.
1 second as we get that for you, Ryan. Happy to answer a question in the interim.
Speak to the default budget and why it's significantly higher than the current budget as well as the proposed budget.
Ryan, I'd simply draw your attention to the RSA that clearly states it could be higher or lower as we move through the math calculation starting with the voted budget of 26 and making any dollar appropriations that are required by law. We look at one-time expenses. I think we found more than 50, which is extensive work of a public school district. I think it totaled $143,000 of reductions there. But it is a mathematical formula that we move through and we get to a number at the end of it. It's not a budget, it's a number.
All right, I'll heed the floor to the next person while you get me the enrollment numbers. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ryan. Enrollment numbers for this budget are 3,197 students.
Are you all set, Ryan? Are you all set, sir?
For now.
Okay, thanks.
Paul Cedillo, Atkinson. Just quickly, the rule is 5 minutes, or?
Yes, 5 minutes.
And then we
Yeah,
can come back and do another 5 minutes, and then another 5 minutes?
So what we will do is you will have 5 minutes to share thoughts or concerns about the operating budget. We have a timekeeper, and then we'll let you know your time is up. And then if there are other people who would like to speak to the budget, we'll allow that.
Okay, thanks. First, I just want to thank everyone on stage. I don't know if you guys get thanked enough, but you do a lot of work and it's appreciated. My question is, the budget, you're reducing capital, lease, and salaries, or staff? Is that correct? Is it salaries or staff? Staff.
Monies that are attached to 21 positions, staff.
Staff. How is it decided between the three? I would imagine specific to the proficiency, reducing staff, especially if it's teachers and paras, would not help that number. Was it looked to look at capital again, or even more on the lease to protect staff?
You're asking about the decision-making of the budget committee? I would defer to the budget committee to answer that question.
I'll take it. Hi, great question. We made those decisions based on what we felt was going to affect students the least while still being responsible for the buildings we have to maintain. As you know, I'm sure if you've taken any tours of the campuses, there are some things that have to get addressed that are around safety, right? And so those are the hard choices that we had to make, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, that's the conversation we have over and over again. What can we do here that is going to affect the day-to-day educational experience of our children the least, in the least negative way, I guess.
Okay, it feels like last year we lost staff, we're gonna lose staff again, potentially. We talk about a trend of throwing money at the problem, but I'm also worried about a trend of losing staff over and over and over again. That's not an answer either, so I just wanted to make that noted. That's all.
Thank you.
Michael Boucher, 19 North Broadway, Atkinson. Actually, this is my first time seeing the whole proficiency scores. So I'm just going to ask, how is that calculated? Because I know you were saying it's combining 3rd grade, 8th grade, and then 11th grade. But wouldn't that be inaccurate if you're just combining the grades just as an average?
So the RSA requires the district assessment scores. So when you look at ELA proficiency, yes, we're looking at the ELA proficiency for students in grades 3 through 11. So to your point, Michael, there is differences among those grade levels. There's some places that we will celebrate on Thursday night, and there's some places where we will clearly say we've got some work to do, and we'll outline some plans for the public.
So, I mean, I assume the law doesn't force you to break it down, but could it be broken down by deliberative? So that we could see how it looks for 3rd grade, 8th grade, and 11th?
It is broken down, and it will be broken down again for the public Thursday, but this will be how the article appears to the general public.
Okay. And then one clarifying question. When you were speaking to Mr. LeBrecq, you said the actual spend right now is around 84 million? Did I hear that correctly? Okay. What is the projection by the end of the fiscal year? The actual spend projection for the end of this fiscal year, what do you think it might be?
That was the last actual spend projection that we gave to the school board, was
okay.
84 and a half.
Gotcha.
And we're gonna, again, we have a presentation again on the second meeting every month, which is next Thursday, and we'll have another dashboard to show, and we'll have an updated projection that will include the December actuals as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Assuming that 84 million ends up being the actual, how would that affect the upcoming school year's budget?
That really are two separate issues, two separate things. So the actuals for this fiscal year have no impact in this proposed budget that is in front of us tonight.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Hello, Chris Tardif, Atkinson. The original proposed budget was 92 million roughly, and that was generally operating the district exactly how it is today, with some increased costs in salaries, benefits, transportation, and contracted services. Is that somewhat accurate or accurate?
I'd say that's accurate. I think the comments or the terms we used with the budget committee was essentially a carbon copy from this year to last year, honoring all the collective bargaining agreements in the past.
Thank you. So of that 9 million and change of the initial proposed budget, $8,325,661 were salary and benefits, contracted services, and transportation. So bodies and getting kids to school. So number one, kudos to the board and to the BudCom for already finding ways to have to slice and dice this budget about $5 million down to 87 and change. So great job on that. Anything more is going to be devastating to our children and to our community. There will be zero cuts to staff. There will be zero cuts to any extracurricular activity. I want people to know their jobs are safe. It's pretty clear we could have gone quite lower. Were there any positions cut from last year's budget?
Yes, we eliminated positions after we had a budget.
And it's 17 bodies currently are being cut for this upcoming budget. 21 positions, 17 bodies working with children today. Would that be accurate?
Semi-accurate. The funding that is attached to those positions was removed from the budget committee. When the school board has a voted budget at the end of the March, they'll work with the superintendent to realign themselves organizationally under that. We will certainly take the budget committee recommendations into consideration, but those decisions will not be made until after we have a voted budget. But yes, of the 21, only 4 of them are open and vacant. 17 of them are filled with people working with children.
Yeah. So I think the number was low 30s last year, positions removed. This year we're already at 17 bodies and 21 total. So it's my opinion, any further amendments to try to cut this budget deeper are just going to be devastating, reckless, and malicious. Thank you.
Nolan Pelletier, 24 North Ave. Just a point of privilege. The stream has been down since Ryan has spoke, so the public has not seen the last 10 minutes of.
Thank you, Nolan. Are we good now? Okay. No? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So while we're waiting for this to get fixed, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna go to any other comments on the budget?
I request a recess until the stream is live.
We have to keep going. We don't have to, we can have a recess.
I would,
I
I
would
know it's not a
prefer to
motion,
have
but
the
I
recess.
would prefer to have a recess as well. I know there's many people that couldn't be here tonight, and I know they're watching at home.
All right.
Because I have been messaged several times by different people. Thank you.
Thank you, Nolan.
Question.
Right.
We have information that it is currently working on TV and it is being recorded for rebroadcast and streaming at anyone's convenience. Is that true?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. So it's on Channel 6, well, in Plastow, Channel 6.
Check, check. Just to clarify, we are currently broadcasting on local cable. We are recording locally. We are on Vimeo. We are on YouTube. There seems to be an issue with Facebook.
Okay.
Check into that further.
Okay, so there are other avenues for people to jump on to watch. So YouTube, okay, so we're gonna just keep moving along because it's just not one stream that's being used. Any other discussion on the budget?
Yeah, Ryan LeBrecq again. There's no one else up here.
Oh, we have someone up over here, Ryan?
It's fine, they can go.
All right, I'll let
They
you
can
go
go.
and then I'll have Mr. LeBrecq. Thank you, Ryan.
Hello, Julia Doherty, Atkinson. So as a parent, I support the proposed school budget. Significant cuts were already made last year and this year, looking at lowering what the default budget came out as. Reminding everyone that this is a level service budget, so nothing new has been added. We are going to be working with what we have this year with actually less because things have already been cut. Any further reductions would affect classroom programs and the integrity of the district. I also find it really concerning to hear criticism about test scores while supporting cuts to staff and resources. If you're worried about student outcomes, cutting the positions that support learning, intervention, and classroom instruction moves us in the wrong direction. Again, this is a level service budget. It doesn't add anything new. It's simply maintaining what we have so students can succeed. If you want to see improvements, you can't cut.
Thank you. You're good.
Ryan LeBrecq, Plastow. In relation to that, there's an inverse relationship between funding and performance. Historically, data shows that the higher the funding, the lower the performance has been, not just here, like throughout the country. Mainly because the money is going to high-priced SAU salaries and not going to teaching, unfortunately. With that said, right now, based on the numbers provided, I know that we put the $23,000 faux number of, which may be a state-required number, but the actual cost per student is $27,000 per year, as it has been traditionally. So that is unfortunate. Beyond that, looking at the tax dollars. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here for a second. Previously, I had asked the question about how we're trending this current school year. What I didn't ask is what is the total amount, total expenses to date that you're aware of in dollars, not the projected total budget spend? Like of the 84 million, how much have you spent to date?
The business administrator is going to find that for us.
Okay. While
The
waiting.
actual expenses
Okay.
as of January 11th, 2026 are $37,327,803.
As of January 11th? Okay. So we're less than 50% spent on the year to date.
Yeah, please
Thank you.
please keep in mind that July and August, our teachers and school year staff do not get paid on those 2 months. So that's not a true reflection of halfway of the year, because those 2 months, we do not pay the school year staff.
Understood. It's also the time that we spend excess funds on things we shouldn't. Thank you for that data.
You're welcome.
It was mentioned that 30 positions were cut last year. How many people in jobs lost their job after the budget was reduced for this year?
Ryan, we had 10 reductions in force last year.
So 10 physical people?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And where did the money come from for the other 20 that weren't reduced?
I don't understand that question.
Well, there was supposedly 30 that were cut. And you said that, we make the decision at the, once the budget is approved on shuffling things around in order to try to avoid cuts. So I assume some of that avoidance was done last year and positions were kept because other things weren't spent or were removed from the budget. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. The other positions were open and vacant positions without people in them. They had funding attached to them. That was what was removed.
So we removed 20 with funding and 10 actual positions.
The only number that I'm accurate right now about is the 10 in reductions in force. If you give us a minute or two here, we can get you the total number of positions that were eliminated last year. To that point, Ryan, I would direct you and the audience to page 54 of your packets. Sure. There you can see a staffing trend report that overlays a student enrollment report. So on the top graph there, you'll see 75 positions have been eliminated in the district since fiscal 17. That 75, Ryan, will include the number from last year because that was part of fiscal 26. And you can see the corresponding graph for student enrollment. And the big if there is if those reductions go through and the school board ends up eliminating those 21 positions, we would have eliminated 13% over the course of the same time when the student enrollment has reduced 11%.
And what percentage of the SAU building was reduced over that time comparatively to the teaching staff?
Don't have that number right in front of me, but happy to, if you follow up, happy to give it to you.
I think that should be provided every year. Last comment, I just want to give you some kudos here. Having gone to the public hearing for budget for the town of Plastow a few nights ago, you've provided significantly more data than our town ever provides from a breakdown perspective and different analysis, and it is appreciated.
Yes.
Ryan, just to follow up, and again, for other questions that were here, the factual number is 37 positions eliminated after the fiscal 27 voted, or I'm sorry, fiscal 26 voted budget last year. So 37 is the number. Of that 37, 10 were reductions in force.
Nolan Pelletier, 24 North Ave, Plastow. Just to parrot what Ryan said, I do appreciate the amount of information provided to the taxpayers. This is refreshing. I sit on budget committee in Plastow, and we don't even have this good of information. My question is that in the graph on page 54, does that include, you have the positions trend, does that number include unfilled positions?
These are positions that are eliminated, both positions that had people in them, open and vacant positions, positions that did not have people in them at those times. But it gives kind of a spectrum since 2017 about the reductions across the district. It includes all staff. These are teachers, paraeducators, administrators.
Right. So it included all positions, even if they were not filled, correct? It was not, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Julia Doherty Atkinson. I just had a quick question about like elimination, the possibility of the elimination of like an SAU position, an admin position. If that position was eliminated or reduced, would those job tasks that that person had go away?
I don't see or anticipate the work of public school officials, teachers, administrators going away.
Right, so the work that's done in the SAU, that would probably be passed down to other positions in the SAU, and some of that would trickle down to principals, having to pick up some of that, or other special ed positions, liaisons and that sort of thing, they would be required to do more.
We're going to have the same amount of work to do and maybe even more next year with less people.
So
So yes,
then-
we'll reorganize and redistribute the workload.
So then the teachers would have to pick up the slack that the principals couldn't do because they're busy doing administrative work that was previously done in the SAU building.
Mike Louis Atkinson, real quick, last year, if I remember correctly, wasn't one of the positions that was cut, wasn't it an SAU position with an actual person?
Correct.
And what was that person's position?
That was our special ed director.
And how has special education been this year for everyone else who's had to pick up the slack?
Yep, we've reorganized, and our student services director, special education, is now nested under that piece as well.
By any chance, have you received any feedback from parents about their experience this year compared to last year?
Yeah, we're actively engaged in that. We actually have an audit going on from the Department of Education right now. That's a six-year cycle. We're on that cycle right now, and it's proving to provide great information for us in terms of where we're at.
Is there any chance you'll have some of that information available by deliberative?
No, we'll now have any information. That's a year-long audit process, and we'll look to conclude that by June.
I mean, is there any way you can get some information? I know what you're saying, but...
Michael, if there's specific things you would like to have presented at deliberative or even at the next school board meeting, please either send it to the chair or myself, and we would be happy to provide the information.
All right, thanks.
Bob Kincaid, Plastow. Wondering if you could show the slide that was showing cost drivers and leave that up for a little bit. And also, is this presentation available?
The presentation will be available after tonight on the website, absolutely.
Ryan LeBrecq, just one more general comment. So we live in a society that's resource constrained. We all feel that. I run multi-billion-dollar construction projects where everybody on that site could work 24 hours a day and have plenty of work to do. Obviously, we're not going to do that, but we have to pick and choose our battles, what's most important and what can fall off at the end of the day, so that we can go home at night. So the school department, the school system is no different than any other resource-constrained entity. And unfortunately, with the size of budgets that we've experienced in the last 4 or 5 years, progressing from $70 million budgets to $90 million budgets in a short period of time, it's outpaced the taxpayers' ability to make the payments and support that level of funding. When you're talking $1,000 to $2,500 increases just for an average home, just for the school budget, never mind our never-ending town increases, because we know they all like to spend money as well and never reduce their costs. It's not sustainable. And so while I understand you put together a budget that looks at best case scenario, this is what we want, you also have to realize the ability of those that support the school system to be able to support it and pay it while also being able to stay in their homes and enjoy their lives without worrying about when the next tax bill's coming. So, thank you.
So I just want to remind all the residents that are here that we all, as residents of the state of New Hampshire, have the choice to talk to the legislator and reach out to the legislators to help us in the real issue that we face at the school districts, which is the low funding that we get from the state. So it is our due as residents of this state to reach out and try to seek solution for more funding.
My question is, Nolan Pelletier, my question is to the CFO. What would that look like? Where would that money come from? If you want money from the state, where do you think that money would originate from?
I don't work for the state, I work for the school district, so I would not know what the sources available to the state are.
But you're advocating for more state funding, so
To reach out to the legislator to
the
address the problem.
the previous governor of New Hampshire, Mel, basically said that small taxes come from small spending. So what you're saying, if money's coming from the state, that money has to come from somewhere else, correct? Money doesn't come out of thin air, so what would be the vehicle for that to fund? And how would that affect us?
So this is not a budget question, again, I don't work for the state, I
You
work
were
for the school
advocating for
district.
state funding, so I was just curious. So we were talking about,
So what I'm going to do is, she did advocate for that, but I would like to stay on the budget for this evening. And
I would too, Mrs. Costa. I'm just saying she was using this forum to advocate for something else that is not outside, that's not in the budget. So I was just referring to that as well.
I appreciate that, thank you. And I'm going to have you voice your concerns, opinions, questions, and then I'm going to close out this budget so we can go to the default budget.
Sure, totally agree with that. I do actually agree that state funding does matter, and it is very important to speak to our legislators who seem to be not doing anything for us. We've had this conversation multiple times over multiple years. But I just actually want to ask, the things that we deal with as individuals, all the increases within our lives, like for example, the cost of groceries, tariffs, health insurance, inflation, things like that, does that affect the school system too?
Is that a rhetorical question?
I don't know. Some people don't seem to realize it, man. They don't know why the costs keep going up, or, for example, why we have a level budget and why we still have high, costs.
Yeah. I mean, ironically, Maria did some crunching that she shared with me earlier today. I mean, we looked at spending actual expenses from fiscal 22 to 25. They rose $9.5 million. It's 17%. Timberlane did not see those increases pre-COVID or during COVID. And if you look across New Hampshire and compare other school districts, you will see the exact same thing. The power of the dollar is different now than what it was. And yes, things cost us more to heat our buildings, to light our buildings.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to close the discussion.
Every taxpayer has to make cuts to their personal budget in order to pay for those same things as well.
Okay, I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to move to the default budget, and I believe a school board member was going to do this. Mr. Sherwood? Not to put you on the spot, so.
And Mr. Sherwood, I'm trying to get to the right place for you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
I believe we want one slide before that, the default budget prepared by the school board. It's according to RSA 40:13, Roman numeral IXB. This is formulaic. I know there's been some discussion about it. We are not doing this at our whim. Again, it is formulaic. The state oversees the numbers that we put in. We are all under the same strictures here. We can go to the next slide. Page 31 in your packet, if you would turn to that, you will get complete detail. What we've done here by object code, and you can, again, break those object codes down in the packet that you have. 310 admin services, official. We have both the proposed and the voted. Professional services, cleaning, snow removal, repair, maintenance, plumbing, and electric. Capital improvements. Thank you for that. And that is,
Mr. Sherwood.
nope, that is.
Mr. Sherwood, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Absolutely.
You were here at the RSA, right? And let's give the overview real quick.
Thank you very much. Default budget overview, fiscal year 2027, default budget $89,347,430. The 2026 fiscal year voted budget, $82,084,912. That is a net change of $7,262,518. The percentage change is 8.8% between the default. And here are some of the budget drivers here. The increases, employee benefits, $2.5 million. Professional services, $2.4 million. Salaries, $2.2 million. Student transportation, $445,000. Decreases, equipment, $142,000, and a decrease of $55,000 lease payment. If we take a look at this pie chart, we will see that salaries and benefits are a large portion of that. Professional services, those are for services that we are required by law to provide, and we are outsourcing them for the most part. Salaries and benefits, these are increases that were approved by the voters of this district with the agreements that we have come to with the employees in this district and unions. Here we have the salaries and benefits by object code. You can see where the variances are. Variance of $2.2 million in salaries and approximately $1.8 million in health and dental insurance, as well as the required FICA, teacher retirement, and tuition reimbursement. At this stage, do we have any questions on those particulars? Okay, moving on.
You've got more expenses by object code.
Okay, thank you very much. Professional services, hadn't realized it had changed. An increase of $2,359,767,000. In student transportation, increase $445,004. A decrease in tuition of $38,823,000. A decrease in equipment, $142,471. And lease payment decrease of $55,935,000. So for a subtotal operating expense variance of $2,567,541. For a grand total differential of $7,262,518. And I'm not going to go through all of this, but I'll leave it up here for a second for folks. A fast second.
Is there any discussion? Whoops, sorry. Is there any discussion on the default budget?
Nolan Pelletier, 24 North Ave. I guess it's kind of a point of information. When will is the 2025 audit going to be out? And when would we get that?
Yes, every year the audit has been finalized. We're waiting for the final report from the auditors. Our part is done. Usually it's back by March. This year we had been informed by our auditors that due to the federal government, the special audit, which is the audit that audits the grants funding, the federal fundings, has been delayed by the federal government, so it's nothing to do with us. Our part, we had provided everything to the auditors. We're just waiting for the report, which usually in the time that I had been here comes in March.
So will the 2025 audit be available to the taxpayers before the vote in March?
I cannot answer that question. That does not depend on me. It depends on our audit firm.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any further discussion? If not, I'm going to close this and move to the next warrant article. So
Article 3 is a 2-year collective bargaining agreement with the Timberlane Staff Union, and I would defer to the school board to start the small presentation there for the public.
This is a 2-year collective bargaining agreement with the TSSU. It was quite a long discussion between the two groups. The impact for the first year, 2026 to 2027, is $787,915. And the estimated increase from 27-28 will be approximately $400,000 for a 2-year total of $1,188,051. So those are the dollars and cents. There was a good deal of discussion, and as anybody that has worked in the school system or has kids in the school system know, that this group is incremental and absolutely important and vital to the functioning of the school, supporting of our students, and supporting of our teachers to support those students. We ended up having quite a bit of conversation and have asked them, and they ultimately agreed to give us quite a bit. One of the things that was important is, quite honestly, having additional hours in their day. We're asking them to work an additional half an hour per day, primarily so that they are able to coordinate with the teachers, with other special education units, etc. That time before, they did not have. Every minute of their day was student facing. There was a need for professional development and coordination. We also have asked them, and they agreed to add an extra day to their work year for some of those similar reasons. We were able, as a school board, it was our goal to focus on some educational achievement differentials, continuing to encourage our paraprofessionals to continue to get better at their craft through certification and continued education themselves. We were able to also encourage and get an ISEP stipend for those who are working with some of our most challenged students, those who need the most support. Those work days are a little bit different than some of their peers. And for the first time in that union's history, we were able to come to an understanding with them that times are changing, the economies are becoming more challenging. One of the largest cost drivers of running any district is salary and benefits. We can control salary with some predictability. However, benefits we cannot. For a lot of our paraeducators, their benefit package is literally equal to their salary package. That is a huge cost driver. It is increasing, it's unpredictable. It can go up 4% one year, it can go up 14% the year after. So for greater predictability, they, for lack of a better term, have agreed to have skin in the game, and they are now participating in the cost increases, as it were, with their health insurance. I think this is the way that this particular school board has been trying to go, realizing that we are all in this together. And fortunately, we were able to have the union come to that understanding as well. I believe it is a fair deal that we have struck with them, certainly not as much as they would want. When we went into this negotiation, it was pointed out to us that right down the street, the salary, the hourly wage was greater at Cumberland Farms, and they were hiring to serve slushies, than it was for our paraeducators who are in front of our kids helping mold them. For that reason, we did put extra emphasis toward the beginning to help us hire folks, because quite honestly, we had a lot of vacant spots, and it just wasn't, it was not serving the benefit of our district or our kids. So we are happy with this, and we hope the voters are as well.
If I could just add two things. One is this agreement covers 132 employees, employed positions. And Mark mentioned ISEP, that's intensive special needs education paraprofessionals. So I don't like acronyms because I never know what they mean. So I thought I'd clarify that.
Thank you. She does this for me all the time.
Just a last word on negotiation before Liz will open up for discussion. I think it's important in reiterating what Mark said about where we can find work and at what wage. The starting salary now for that union is $14.95 an hour. And as you look around the other employment opportunities, you can compare that work to working with children. This agreement brings that starting salary to $16.84 an hour. It's a 13% increase. And the goal there is to offset the increases that we're seeing in other professional services. So I thought it was strategic.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, concerns about the bargaining agreement?
Yeah, one quick one first. Great job negotiating all that. Well done. Just a clarification question. Let's pretend for a moment a tax cap was put in place for, I don't know, maybe 2.5%. What would that do to this agreement moving forward?
I'm willing to shoot from the hip here unofficially because I'm willing to shoot from the hip here unofficially. Again, if we look at one of the major cost drivers being health insurance, if we are contractually obligated to supply salary if someone comes to work, to supply health insurance, and then health insurance, assuming their salary was capped at 2.5%, we know health insurance, in my recollection, the last 2 decades has increased by greater than that. Literally, they are unsustainable. We could not do that. We could not survive.
I know most of these collective bargaining agreements are usually 3 years, and I believe it was explained before why it was 2 years, but I forgot. Could you just explain again?
Certainly. So we have a lot of bargaining units. We wanted them not to all be on the exact same cycle. So the changes to the budget would be more gradual and not, not having the situation that we had 2 years ago where there was a dramatic, unpredictable increase. So the bargaining units did agree to go on this 2-year cycle so that we would be off cycle and have a more gradual, gradual transition and less units to look at for the public to engage and evaluate. So it's not overwhelming.
Nolan Pelletier, 24 North Ave. In regards to 2.5% tax, as the previous commenter said, I hear over and over again, we are a bottom line budget, correct?
Correct.
Correct. So you can move any funds from one line item to another as long as you stay within the budget.
If that's a question, the answer is also correct.
Yes, that was the question. Okay, so your hands are not tied so much, so you could move funds. So thank you.
To that same point, I don't believe you can move money between capital and operations and back and forth. Is that correct?
We maintain a bottom line budget.
But taxation is different for both of those.
Per the Articles of Agreement, taxation is different for the both of those. You are correct, Peter.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions for this warrant article? Okay, we're going to move on to Article 4. And this is to authorize a special meeting on cost items should Article 3 not pass. Now we're going to Article 5, 3-year collective bargaining agreement for Timberlane administrative assistant secretaries and skilled maintenance employees. Is there a school board member speaking to this?
Okay, this was a group of, a fairly small group comparatively, but which was newly constituted, adding in some folks that were previously on a different trajectory.
Mr. Woodworth, just to interrupt you for 1 second. We're looking at Article 5, and we're looking at TAM, Administrative Assistants, Secretaries, Skilled Maintenance Employees. All right, the total number of employees is 48.
Okay.
Is that where you're at?
No, I think what he was trying to say is that IT had been newly formed into it. It wasn't that it was a newly formed
Understood.
union.
We did not hear that down here. We thought, Don, you were talking through speech and language and codas, and you were
No.
maybe 10 slides ahead of us.
No,
Thank you for correcting us at this end of the spectrum here.
No, there's some delays with the microphone, but yes, he was just stating that IT was the new addition. So, go ahead, Don.
So we were asking basically to raise the sum of $192,738 for the 2026-27 fiscal year. because that basically enabled us to, one, kind of make sure we had a fair step and track situation, so that there was comfort among the members of the union that the people coming in from the outside were going to be coming in and getting a better shake, that all people hired would be looked at with similar scrutiny as to their experience and talents. We had some, work to do on understanding how those things were put together, how people came to the determination of where to be placed on these step and track situations. And at the end of the day, we ended up with a very modest % of increase, for 3 years to try to stay in line with what we were doing across the board in the district.
Liz, before discussion, I'd add a couple things to that. We were also able to achieve probationary status, which is a thing for management that we would value. That same group also made some health concessions during this contractual negotiation. And it's also, this is the infrastructure, a part of our district. It's important for us as management to be able to contract out, not to supplement the staff, but when we need folks to deliver an outcome for us, we also have that ability to contract when necessary. So 3 excellent pieces of information for the district.
Thank you. Any comments, questions for this warrant article? Okay, we're going to move this and go to Article 6, which is the authorization for the special meeting on cost items. Shall the voters of the school district, if Article 5 is defeated, authorize the district to call one special meeting at its option to address Article 5 cost items only. Now we're going to go to Article 7, 3-year collective bargaining agreement for the administrators union. Is there someone here to speak to that?
Yes, so this is a 3-year agreement. This is all of our principals, vice principals. It also does our education coordinators and some other individuals. These groups, these folks, they also are individuals that work year-round, so they are in the building from July 1 to July 1. One of the main things for us in this was to present something to them that was going to be sustainable, but then also fiscally responsible to the voters. One thing that was important to them this year was coming up with a salary matrix that allowed some leeway for also the administration to be able to hire individuals, and also if someone took an extended amount of leave, what that individual that would be asked to step up to would be allowed to be paid. Another thing it did is it helped us with retaining staff, such as that we, have allotment for these individuals to go and get higher education, and not just to get that education and then leave. So we did do some language in there that way we could retain, and that it wasn't just that Timberlane's going to be a stepping stone, though this is going to be something that we want long term. But Justin, do you have anything else to add to this article?
The only thing I'd add to that, Katie, is that we're also to maintain professional development leadership time with them that enables essentially the SAU staff to call the admin team together really outside of those hours to be able to plan forward as a group, so we're in unison and we're working as a district and not isolated schools. So important for us to be unified in that manner.
Any questions, comments, concerns about this warrant article?
Nolan Pelletier. Do I have to keep saying my address, or am I fine just saying?
You're good.
All right. How many individuals does this include?
28 staff members.
28 staff members, so that's, you said it was principals and vice principals, correct?
Principals, assistant principals, and a swath of other administrators that are involved in curriculum, the music and theater programs, our athletics, those pieces. There are people that really are on the building grounds. There are also some people that work district-wide in those positions as well.
Just to confirm, you said 28, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Ryan Lebrecq, what's the average salary of this group? Roughly.
The proposed average salary for next year is $120,000.
All right, so these are probably some of the highest paid individuals in the district. some of, not the year fit sitting in front of us.
Yes, they are our directors and principals.
Has it ever been discussed that maybe the highest salaries, above average salaries in the district forego raises in order to support the lower salaries in the district? Or the very low salaries in the district?
We did not have that conversation through the budget committee.
Would that be a relevant or valid question when we're in a budget constrained environment? Thank you.
Sorry, I just want to let people know that in year one of this agreement, the average increase for these administrators is at 3.4%. On year two and three, it's at 2.9% increase. There are some of these administrators that are getting a 2.1% increase a year during the 3 years of this proposed contract.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? If not, I'm going to move this to Article 8. Article 8 is the authorization for special meeting on cost items. Shall the voters of the school district, if Article 7 is defeated, authorize the Timberlane Regional School Board to call one special meeting at its option to address Article 7 cost items only. Article 9 is a 3-year bargaining agreement with the Timberlane Certified Specialists Union, and is there a school board member to discuss this?
Yes. So this is a new collective bargaining agreement with the Timberlane Regional School District for the Certified Occupational Therapy Assistants and the Speech Language Pathology Assistants. It's a group of 10 employees. They previously had no clear work roles and responsibilities across the district in terms of every building was utilizing their services differently. So this was a great opportunity for the district to be able to clearly outline their work roles, responsibilities. We were able to work with this group of employees to increase hours of their time in the building, which would then provide more direct support services to students. Currently, this group of employees does predominantly service students with special education services on IEPs. However, they do have a skill set to support regular education students as well, so increasing their time in the building was a great opportunity for our district to be able to provide additional supports to students in need. We were able to streamline a process so that we could increase the desire to attract employees and decrease the need for contracted services by offering competitive wages through a 3-year collective bargaining agreement with this group. I'm not sure if I missed anything else.
Yeah, I would only add 2 things to that, Shauna. One is that the group made health concessions. I don't know if I didn't hear that from down here. And also, similar to TAM, we reserve the right to be able to contract for a position, again, not to supplement it, but if we needed it in the immediacy to deliver services to students, we have the ability to do that as a district. So that is a solid piece of foundation for us.
Questions, comments?
Julia Doherty Atkinson, is this contract in hopes of not having to contract out, like hoping to keep these type of professionals in this contract as opposed to contracting out?
100%. It's the same thing with the paraeducators about offsetting that professional service. The one unique thing about this is right now, all of these people are Timberlane Regional School District employees. We are not contracting out a single need for right now, and to be able to stay there is the goal.
Check it 1, 2. All right. Nolan Pelletier. I'm just curious, same question as last time. How many employees does this impact?
10.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Ryan Lebrecht, I say this is assistant, so is there a separate union for the occupational therapists?
They're currently covered under the teacher's contract.
And this is just my, I'm not a I don't live in the union world. How do we come about having, I mean, how many unions do we have total? And how do they get so segregated as opposed to just within a few different buckets instead of what, I don't know, 10? I don't know, how many are there?
Timberlane has 8 collective bargaining units, and really it's all centered around the recognition clause, Ryan, and that is situated outside of our purview here. We don't have any input or impact of that, but employees get together, and if they unionize and there's a proven kind of recognition between them, some commonality, they're able to be able to do that, and then they come to management and begin to negotiate.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I'm going to move to Article 10, which is authorization for special meeting on cost items. Shall the voters of the school district, if Article 9 is defeated, authorize the Timberlane Regional School Board to call one special meeting at its option to address Article 9 cost items. We'll move on to Article 11, Capital Reserve Fund by surplus. Shall the Timberlane School District vote to discontinue the school building construction, reconstruction, capital improvement, and land purchase capital reserve established in 1996? Said fund with accumulated interest to the date of withdrawal are to be transferred to the school district's general fund and further to raise and appropriate the sum of $490,937.20, which is the total amount in the capital reserve fund to be discontinued, to be placed in the capital reserve fund established under the provisions of RSA 35:1 to be known as the Timberlane Regional School District Capital Improvement and Maintenance Fund for the purpose of funding the construction, reconstruction, improvement, and maintenance of the school district's buildings, grounds, and to authorize the use of that amount from the June 30th unreserved fund balance surplus available for transfer on July 1st, and further to name the school board as agents to expend this fund. No amount to be raised for additional taxation. And will someone be speaking on this? No? Oh, okay. All right, any questions or concerns?
Ryan LeBrecq, what is the previous fund? What are you trying to do with this? What are you trying to spend money on by changing the name of the fund, it seems?
I'll respond to that. Basically, the original fund included land purchase, and there is no real expectation of purchasing any land. So we're refocusing it on what it will be used for and what it has been used for, which is capital improvement and maintenance.
You can still use it for capital improvement and maintenance currently.
Yes, we could, yeah,
So by changing this, you just won't be able to buy more land.
correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? If not, we'll move on to Article 12. Article 12, Capital Improvement and Maintenance Fund. Shall the Timberlane Regional School District raise and appropriate up to $250,000 to be placed in the Timberlane Regional School District Capital Improvement and Maintenance Fund, with the sum to come from the June 30th fund balance available for transfer on July 1st, 2026. No amount to be raised from additional taxation. Questions or concerns?
So is this the fund that we just transferred we're just trying to transfer the $490,000 into, and now we're trying to increase it an additional $250,000 with overtaxation, previous overtaxation?
So this warrant article has been in our ballot since 1996, since the fund was originally implemented. It is just basically says that if we have enough funds at the end of the school year, we can transfer this to that capital improvement fund to have a contingency for capital improvements. Recently, I don't know if you remember, in 2023, we used $950,000 that was in that fund. We pretty much depleted the fund or used most of the funds to replace the boilers in the high school because they needed replacement. So we had $950,000 accumulated through the years in this fund and was used for that. So that fund is just for emergencies or for capital improvements that need to be done.
So how is this fund different than the fund that we're creating on the previous page?
It's not, it's the same fund. So
Okay.
in the previous one, like Marianne explained, the only thing we're trying to do is to eliminate the purchase of land from that fund. This is the regular capital warrant article that has been in our warrant since 1996. That is just allowing us to fund that fund.
So if we over budget and we have $250,000 left at the end of the year, it gives you the ability to capture that and spend that as well. Thank you.
Not,
Nolan Pelletier, what is the balance in that account currently? I know you just said you spent most of it. What is the remaining funds?
it's in the previous article, so it's $490,937.20.
So you want to raise and appropriate an additional $250,000 into that fund?
Like I said, the $250,000 warrant article has been annually since 1996 in our warrant articles. It has been there
So
for,
yes, so
for,
yeah.
all this, for 30 years that every year we request if there are enough funds at the end of the year, we could retain the $250,000 to fund this fund.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Could I ask a question? When is the last time we transferred any money into that fund?
2 years ago, we had enough funds from capital that we transferred into this fund.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay, I'm going to move on to Article 13, Fund Balance Retention. Shall the school district vote to authorize indefinitely until rescinded to retain year-end unassigned general funds in the amount not to exceed in any fiscal year 2.5% of the current fiscal year's net assessment in accordance with RSA 198:4-B, 2. Any comments, questions, concerns?
So this again, just automatically, any additional funds that haven't been spent at the end of the year, would you're able to retain them to spend for another time? Not give back to the taxpayers.
Correct, Ryan. It would not go back to offset the tax rate, but it would allow the district to maintain equilibrium and look down the road and plan for future occurrences, one of which could be offsetting the tax rate.
Do you think if we have, an the ability to transfer $250,000, if we have $250,000 left over, transfer 2.5% into a fund balance, if we have 2.5% left over, do you think that possibly could be a reason to potentially over budget so that at the end of the year you purposely have at least that left over in order to save?
No, those markers are not part of our budget process, conversations, or decision-making at all.
But you can see the motivation.
Could I add to that? The 2.5% fund retention had been in place up until last year, where there was an attempt to change it to 5%, and when that failed, it reverted back to 0 as opposed to 2.5%. And there was quite a bit of discussion that the 2.5% was reasonable. And when it was in place, the district was not typically retaining 2.5% even when it was available.
So therefore, it's not necessary?
No, it gives us options to have a buffer against a tight budget. And if that buffer is not needed, it gets returned the following year.
Chris Hardif Atkinson, does anybody up here know the average fund retention balance of school districts nationally?
I don't know it nationally. I know In the state of New Hampshire, currently, we are the only ones that have 0% retention, and I believe it's 2 more that have 2.5. The rest of them are 5%.
Okay, so right now we're 0, everyone else has 1, and only 2 other people are as low as what is being asked here.
Correct.
Thank you.
Nolan Pelletier, I think being 0% is awesome and we should lead the way. Thank you.
I think part of our problem is we try to be like everyone else. So let's not be like everyone else. So thank you for keeping it at 0%, and hopefully this fails.
If we were like everyone else, we would also have fully funded kindergarten.
That has nothing to do with this warrant article, so we should rescind that comment.
Okay, we're going to move now to Article 14. Article 14, full-day kindergarten. Shall the school district vote to amend the Timberlane Regional School District's Articles of Agreement and to implement a full-day kindergarten in the district as follows? Existing language that is removed is struck through. Amend the first sentence of Article 3 of the Articles of Agreement for Timberlane Regional School District as follows. Timberlane Regional School District shall be responsible for the public education of pupils in kindergarten through grade 12. And further raise and appropriate the sum of $271,012 to implement full-day kindergarten. Does anybody want to speak to this?
Boucher, Atkinson. I totally agree with Ms. Knutson's sentiment. We should be like every other district in the school, the state of New Hampshire. We should have fully funded full-day kindergarten. The fact that this is still a discussion is sort of ridiculous, especially within the context of complaining about proficiency numbers. Kindergarten would be one of the best ways to bring up our proficiency numbers in the most cost-effective way possible. We should have done this a long time ago, and I'm glad this is on the ballot.
Any other comments?
Nolan Pelletier. I disagree with this, and I don't believe that every other city and town in New Hampshire has full-day kindergarten. Was that stated? Is that true?
There are 2 or 3 across New Hampshire that do not.
2 or 3. So it's not everyone. All right, thank you.
Julia Doherty, just up here to, again, I've spoken on this before, the support of full-day kindergarten. I think it is absolutely wild that we are a district that does not offer full-day kindergarten, that doesn't provide equal access for education for all students, and I really hope that we are able to push this forward.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Ryan Lebrecq. I'm not sure when the book came out, but isn't there a book like Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten? I think that was back when I was a kid, which was half-day kindergarten, so I probably didn't learn anything else after. Maybe to pay for it, we should eliminate another grade, since if kindergarten's that important, which it probably is, let's eliminate 4th grade or 6th grade or 12th grade.
Chris Tardif, Atkinson. There are 2, I believe, school districts that do not have fully funded kindergarten in New Hampshire. Is that what I heard, I believe?
Around about number 2 or 3, and I do know, Chris, that the ones that don't have it also have warrants in front of their voters this March to move in that direction.
Okay, and what is the percentage of Timberlane students that are in the special education program? I believe it's right around 20%.
22% here in Timberlane.
Is that significantly higher than what the national average probably is, or is?
It is higher than the state average.
And what is one of the most expensive line items in our budget? Would it be safe to say special education is a very costly and necessary cost to the district?
Costly, necessary, and required.
An early intervention, getting to children younger, might help some students graduate out of IEPs and special education, which would ultimately save taxpayers money in the long run. Is that a potentially accurate statement?
It's a potentially accurate statement.
Thank you.
Nolan Pelletier. We do have full-day kindergarten currently available for an additional cost, right?
Correct, the model we have now is a tuition-based model.
And how much is that
$45
for the year?
for the year.
That's a steal. Do we have any open seats in that program?
We typically will have some open seats. It's a difficult thing to open registration. We need to have families make decisions. That process begins very soon. We'll continue through the winter, spring, and summer months. We're really not locked in for full-day enrollment until the first day before the first day of school.
Okay, so we do have full-day kindergarten available. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's speaking to something I think Mr. Tardif was referring to. There are a number of studies, it's pretty incontrovertible that full-day kindergarten does have beneficial effects for students. It helps them matriculate from first grade to second grade to third grade. Essentially, it allows students to keep up with pace and decreases the number of students that have to repeat grades. The additional benefit from the research that I've done, and I have done in independent research, is if you're able to identify a child when they're just starting the learning process as opposed to when they're discovered and failing in second grade, the academic benefits are better. The financial impact for the community is better, never mind it being the right thing to do. For Sandown, which is one of the more highly taxed towns, the impact of 7 cents per thousand for a $300,000 home would be $21 to ensure that every child in Sandown, whether their parents can afford to write that check for multiple thousands of dollars, gets the benefit that their neighbors who live next door and live in other towns have. Additionally, one of the reasons why this is cost effective, not just in future services that we will not have to provide as a district, we already have the buses running. We already have the schools, we already have the buildings. So if you have a building that's half filled, a bus that's half filled, we're already paying for those. The incremental increases in cost are negligible for the benefits, for the savings that we will benefit from in the future.
Ryan LeBrecq, how many kids are enrolled in half-day kindergarten currently?
It's tough for me to do totals, Ryan, but I can run through school buildings right now. So at Atkinson, this year we have 10 half-day, Danville 0, Pollard 13, Sandown Central 13. In comparison, those same schools, Atkinson 50 full day, Danville 33 full day, Pollard 40 full day, Sandown Central 57 full day.
So I think the number was 36. Of the 36 half-day, you're saying that they leave after half-day, they're not enrolled in the full day?
That is correct. And it's actually, when we did the school board presentation, the minutes are not even 50% of the day, they're actually less than that.
Why are they there less than that?
To be able to run 2 programs across one day and
Okay.
transport students.
All right. How much revenue is going to be lost as a result of this?
In terms of calculating the cost for the warrant, we gave multiple presentations to the school board and the budget committee that concluded on November 20th and again on the 24th of November. We would estimate the loss of tuition revenue is $765,000. And continuing on with that calculation, we gain adequacy money of about $370. We are looking to reduce a half-time teacher for a savings of $50,000. We will not need to run a midday bus, which is a savings of $75,000, which brings us to an all-in total cost of $271,000.
All right, so you're talking to a guy that failed kindergarten. They wanted to keep me back in kindergarten. My parents wouldn't let him, and said I was too immature. I may still be too immature, but kindergarten is, in a half-day perspective, important. In a full-day perspective, it's an extension of babysitting, and the cost, the reason that it's being, if I had a kid, I would put my kid through full-day kindergarten, and I would gladly pay it as well, because the cost-benefit analysis would lead me to want to pay the tuition. And do we have any idea of the 30 that are leaving at half-day, whether they would take you up on the full day? Do we know that for sure? Or are they pulling their kids out half-day because they choose to?
Yeah, two things to that, Ryan. We haven't directly surveyed. We didn't want to kind of intrude on families. I will let you know that I have had more than 20 conversations this year with individual families in half-day programs that would like to do full day but cannot afford it. To the second point you brought up about kindergarten being babysitting, I would argue that that's a misnomer. I would invite you to my office and I would love to be able to tour kindergarten classrooms with you so you can see what those individuals are doing with those children and how it is not babysitting.
I went to kindergarten. I understand what it is. And most of us took half-day kindergarten and most of us turned out fine, is what I'm saying.
Okay, Mr. Boucher.
Yes. I just have to address that comment real quick.
No, we're going to move on and just continue on this warrant article.
Okay. Mr. Krieger, were you referring to the numbers from this spreadsheet here? I mean, this presentation slide where you
Michael,
have
I can't see that presentation.
I understand. I'm about to read the numbers.
Okay.
So like, for example, you had Atkinson, 50 full day, 10 half day.
Yes, that's the chart that we presented.
Make sure. So especially in that particular scenario with Atkinson being 50 and 10 half day, right? If you were to make those 10 full day, could you consolidate the classrooms? So right now in this particular situation, you have 4 classrooms. Could you potentially have 3 and have a little bit of a cost savings?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Another thought that I had was we were just talking about how like having kindergarten can help improve the results or improve some of the situations with some of the special needs children. And another thing that I think a lot of people don't consider, especially if you want to help reduce administrative costs, is that when you have children who go into kindergarten or even earlier grades, they have a foundation that helps get them used to being inside of a classroom. So once they get to grade level, you notice that kids who go to kindergarten versus kids who don't, they have less behavioral issues, and thus there is less time for administrators to step in and have to deal with those behavioral issues. So there is also another cost benefit for having early education.
Megan Adams Atkinson. I just was wondering if you could point out some of the differences between half day and full day. Is the curriculum for full day and half day still the same, like the curriculum requirements? So for half day, you would have to squeeze in all of that curriculum into 3 hours versus 6.5 hours, correct?
Yeah, and to get people to get more information, we did give this presentation to the school board on October 16th, so it's certainly available for everyone. Ms. Kanotis was there with us, the elementary director of education, and we went through the differences in terms of schedules and what those make up and what those instructional blocks look like. They are 2 distinct different experiences.
Yeah, so the full day kids are getting specials, music, art, gym class, they're going to lunch, having access to meals, they're getting recess, having that social development with other kids. All of these things that they're getting in full day versus half day, they have to squeeze in that little 3-hour period of time. That play-based learning, they're not getting because they're required to sit down and do a certain amount of work, correct?
That's a lot. I don't know if it's all correct. But again, the half-day schedule looks different and really is focused on phonics, integrated units for read aloud, math, and literacy.
So they're missing a lot.
They certainly don't have specials and those exploratory types of courses.
Thank you.
Is it true that many states across the country have been looking at pre-kindergarten instead of just kindergarten, such as, for example, the red state of Texas, which has had pre-kindergarten for a half day since 1985? And what is it that they know that we don't know?
Rhetorical or not?
It's kind of rhetorical, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Deb Hussey from Atkinson. In answer to behavioral issues, that starts in the home. Parenting your child first before you get into kindergarten. I was once talking to a teacher long before some of you were born. And the question was, the kids who didn't have kindergarten in first grade, how do they do? How do they fare? And the teacher said, by Christmas, they're all up to speed. They're all to be, we're on track where they're supposed to be. Kindergarten is just an added thing, yes, for socialization, yes, for learning, but kindergarten is not optional for a lot of people because of their time schedule, time constraints. My thought is kindergarten should be optional at this point. I know you all want it. You think it's going to make their kids wiser and to be, smarter along the way. But a lot of times we're seeing a lot of behavior issues too. Behavior issues that they're not dealt with in the family, but are dealt with in the school. Parents can't, teachers can't do anything, administration's hands off, whatever. And you're seeing things go down the line. You have IEPs, you have behavioral issues. There's a lot more going on here. Sometimes kids just need to be at home with mom. Sometimes kids need to have that nurturing time because they're still young. They're very young. And first grade is a good optimal time to put them into school. That's why our founding fathers have said free education from 1 through 12, to work it that way. You keep adding these kids younger and younger and away from their parents, away from their community of just family life. And I had a child that was smart. Emotionally, he wasn't ready for first grade. So, they wouldn't put him in there. He had to go back to kindergarten. Okay, that was fine. But also he was the type of kid whose brain was so smart that he ended up in the field that he's in right now. And you don't know where each kid is, and they all go at a different rate, and they all learn at their own speed. So by putting all in the kindergarten, not everybody's ready before that. By first grade, they tend to be. And that's all I gotta say.
I'll be super quick. Julia Doherty. I just want to put it out there that a lot of people have come up tonight and shared their experiences from kindergarten from 10, 15, 50 years ago. Kindergarten's not the same as it was 5 years ago. I encourage people to learn more about it, talk to current kindergarten teachers, talk to current people working in schools, take up the superintendent's offer and go sit with him and see what teachers are responsible for in their curriculum. And, it would be great if kids were home spending time with mom and learning nursery rhymes and having all that quality time. That's not reality. Kids are on tablets, kids are in front of TVs, they're not going home. And I'm not speaking for everybody, I know that there are outliers, but it's a different world, and I just wanted to put that out there.
Chris Tardif Atkinson, this article, does it require a parent to send their child to kindergarten?
No.
So if a parent feels like their child's not ready for kindergarten, they have every right to keep their child at home?
Of course.
So what this does is it just removes a financial barrier for those parents who believe their children are ready to go to kindergarten.
I'd paraphrase the last statement saying, yes, it would allow a family who wants to attend for full day to attend tuition free.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'm going to move this article and move to Article 15.
Just one more comment.
Oh, sorry.
I talked to a lot of the parents who came to the Timberlane district meetings that we had over time to kind of get an idea of what their concerns were, what the advantages would be for them, what their fears were about equity for their kids, a number of things. But one of the most important things to a lot of people was kind of a little bit more control of their lives, so they could perhaps go to work and earn an income. And now they're paying their tuition. It's making it very hard for them. But a lot of people are making a sacrifice of so they're not doing other things that they would do so their kid can go to school. The burden that we put on people to have to pay, for the full day, and for those parents that do, they're doing it for the right reason, because they know it's very important to the total development of their student over time. And I'm not sure that that's as appreciated by some people as, the difference, because people are getting half a day you know, and, you know, maybe parents can make up the difference by doing a great job at home with them, or over time, the schools can make up that different start. But I just think that it's tragic that we're having this conversation, because I think, I mean, yeah, it was 65 years ago when I went to kindergarten. And it was tuition free back then in New York where I was. So, you know, perhaps I was spoiled, you know, but I think that there was a love of school that developed early for me, and I think it happens for a lot of kids who are able to get the full experience. And when we talked about how it's different for those kids that are there for half a day because it's squeezing an adequate amount of learning into a shorter period of time, theoretically, and then you know, they're leaving while other kids are staying, and that has to have an impact on how they feel. Certainly as a parent, a lot of them were upset about that difference when they spoke to us at the high school. So I just wanted to think about the emotional, you know, thing for the whole family, the reality of the financial impact for all the families involved, and when you go to vote on this thing, that you have some compassion. Thank you.
Hello, Paul Cedillo Atkinson. I just want to refer to the beginning of the meeting when you said no insults were allowed. When someone's telling someone that, hey, you're a kindergarten teacher, but I think you're a babysitter, that's an insult. You're changing their profession, something that they've gone to school for, something they're proud of, and you're saying that they are not that anymore. Why isn't that called out?
I'm sorry, I should have.
That's an opinion, not an insult.
Okay, we're going to move to Article 15. Interest on invested lease proceeds. Shall the Timberlane Regional School District vote to raise and appropriate a supplemental appropriation for the current fiscal year up to $80,000 for the purpose for capital projects? This amount will be funded from existing revenues and represents the interest earned on the proceeds of the lease purchase agreement authorized by a vote on Article 3 at the March 14th, 2023 school district meeting. No amount to be raised from additional taxation. Is anybody up here going to speak to this?
Just for point of clarification, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the only thing that is read tonight that we could get universal agreement on. If I'm interpreting this correctly, if we do not vote to accept this $80,000 that has been increased due to interest, we lose it. So we are either going to vote to accept $80,000, and if we vote no, the $80,000 disappears and the bank keeps it. Is that accurate?
Mark just asked a question.
Accurate, yes.
So when you're talking to your neighbors and when you're in the poll booth and you see $80,000 and it says, shall the district vote to raise and appropriate? We're really not raising and appropriating it. That's my interpretation. It is already there. It's interest from monies that have already been raised via taxation. We're voting to receive the $80,000 of interest. If we do not vote yay, it disappears.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that we're clear that this is interest income, interest that the escrow account for the lease has earned. So it has nothing to do with taxation. This money has not been taxed. It's just the interest that the escrow account for the lease has earned. We're just taking it out of the escrow account and putting it to service for the Timberlane Regional School District.
Jeff Hussey, Atkinson. Why is the wording so complicated? Why can't it be just like what we just said, black and white, saying this money, if we don't vote yes, it will get put away, if it goes away? Why can't the wording be simple where people can understand what's being written here? You make it so complicated, people are confused and they just, nope, 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 nope. I don't know who writes this, but they need to rewrite some of this stuff to make it very laid terms so that people can understand it. Sorry? State mandated? State
mandated to use the money and bring it into the budget.
So you have to write this exactly how the state says it? You have no say? Oh my gosh, then you're just like sheep. Okay.
Speak to your representatives.
Yes.
It's Ryan LeBrecq.
Okay,
Trying to
so we
understand
need
that
to
you-
keep it to respectful language. We're not sheep, we're following what our RSAs and our state legislative people are requiring for us to do. Mr. Major.
Hi, Kevin Major from Sandown. You are allowed to make administrative additions to this on the end for informational purposes, such as total tax impact of this article is 0. You can add those comments. You still have to keep the state text, but you could do that with any of these warrant articles. Just something to consider.
Thank you, Kevin.
Ryan LeBrecq, I'm also trying to understand this. When you say it's in an escrow account, if it's in escrow by nature, it's not the bank's. It's being held by the bank. Eventually, it has to be dispersed if it's left over at the end of the lease or the end of a loan, if it is an escrow account, correct?
It's not the same thing for the public sector. So as a school district, we are regulated by different laws than the private sector. I know you work in the private sector. I used to work in the private sector as well. It's not the same laws. So because we are a tax-free institution, we do have different regulations regarding escrow accounts and interest earning escrow accounts. We have limitations and we have time limitations. We have certain amount of period of time where we can withdraw those earned interest. So if this warrant article does not pass, we cannot withdraw that interest and it will go back to the bank.
I think the district should put a sheet out explaining this better, with better specifics for understanding. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just to piggyback on Ryan and the previous commenter, I know that in town we have basically, and I'm forgetting it on the top of my mind right now, but it's basically like a voter information. Is that going to be underneath this? And if so, when would we be able to see that language?
I think we're going to take those comments into an advisement and we'll be working on some additional language for folks. I do also want to point out that this is the exact purpose of the public hearing and the deliberative session, is to be able to talk these things out so there's a common understanding in the room. But we will work to bring clarity to where the public is asking for more.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? If not, I'm going to move on to Article 16. Article 16, supermajority requirement for certain budget reduction amendments by petition. Is the petitioner present? Would you like to share? Oh, did you want to speak first? There you go.
Sorry to interrupt you, Chris. I do want to point out that right now we've received some objections to Article 16. We're currently working with our district's legal counsel. Right now, we're going to continue to present the article to the public until we hear differently. My next update I hope to bring is at the 22nd board meeting, when the school board will have the full warrant and they'll need to attest it that evening. So hoping to reach some resolution by the end of the week. Wanted to note that for the public, but certainly do want to invite the petitioner to speak and all petitioners to their articles if they're here this evening.
Thank you. I'm just going to leave it. All right. I want to share why Article 16 matters for Timberlane, for our students, and for every taxpayer in our 4 towns. And I want to be deliberate about this. First, let's be very clear. This article does not raise taxes. It does not add spending. It does not limit spending. It is not a tax cap in any way. Article 16, as written here, is a guardrail, not a wall. Here's what it does. If an amendment is proposed at the deliberative session to cut more than 3%, let me repeat, more than 3% from the school's proposed operating budget, that amendment would need a 3/5 majority from the voters who showed up that evening. If someone proposes a reduction of 3% or less, nothing changes. If someone proposes increasing the budget, nothing changes. This article applies only to large cuts, the kind of cuts that can fundamentally reshape services schools can provide. Now, why is that important? We all know how deliberative session works. Some years, 400 people, 500 people show up. Other years, maybe 100, sometimes fewer. Turnout varies depending on weather, like last year, timing, and what's going on in the community. When turnout is low, one passionate group, left, right, or anywhere in between, could push through a dramatic and unexpected budget cut far beyond what the school board and the administration and the broader community believe is respectable. And that's where Article 16 steps in. This article protects us from instability. It ensures that if someone wants to cut deeper than 3%, which is a significant amount, they should have to convince a clear majority of the people present. Not just a slim majority of 51%, and not those who just were able to make it in that night. Think about the impact of a wild budget swing. We went through this last year. Teachers and staff scrambling to plan for cuts that were not expected, programs being eliminated at the last minute, contracts renegotiated mid-year, students being caught in the middle of uncertainty. Whether you're a parent, a grandparent, a taxpayer without children, or an educator, we all benefit when our schools run on predictable, responsible budgets, not budgets that can be drastically changed by a small turnout. This article honors everybody's voice and it respects everybody's vote. It simply says if you want major change, you should have major support. Nothing more, nothing less. We can disagree about individual line items, specific programs, or the final size of a budget, and we will, and that is healthy. But we should all agree in protecting the process so that the decisions reflect the will of our community, not just the will of whoever could leave their house on a particular evening. Article 16 does that. It keeps our schools stable, it protects our taxpayers from chaos, it ensures that big changes require big consensus. And it does all of this without raising taxes by even a single dollar. Now, as the superintendent mentioned, there's some questions floating around of the legality of this petition. I want to take a moment to address that real quick. The petition will come out being legal. In our case, it is necessary too. New Hampshire law permits school districts to adopt procedural rules for how business is conducted at the deliberative session, including how amendments are approved. Today, right now, New Hampshire has explicit statutory provisions requiring a supermajority vote in some budget contexts, such as the override of a local tax cap or a budget cap. This precedent already exists. This was not invented out of thin air. It's not taking away anyone's vote or the ability to make an adjustment to the budget. I respectfully ask that you support Article 16, not for one town, not for one group, but for the long-term health of Timberlane School District and every student who walks through its doors. Thanks.
Thank you.
Ryan LeBrecq. Some of us, the school, the taxpayer-supported school district is not the family business. And for family accountability, we have to watch our own budgets. And if budgets presented were efficient and were appropriate, we talk about wild swings to the negative. I think over $20 million increase in 4 years is wild swings to the positive. And, you know, I think that a tax cap is the response to this. Without both of them, if one passes, the other should, in my opinion. If you put a target, just like having warrant articles that say, if we over budget, we can save 2.5% to spend on other things. This budget committee brings forth budgets that are well over 3% increase every year. And now you have a target. Let's just inflate the budget by 3, 5, 10%, and then we'll bring it down to a 5% increase, and then they can only lower it by 3%, so we're still ahead by 2%. So I disagree. I hope I don't feel this should be legal. I don't know if the district has put this forth to legal counsel for review. I know petition warrant articles go forward regardless, and that's fine if they're valid. And then if after the fact they're deemed illegal, then they're deemed illegal and they're not valid anymore. I suspect that if this were to pass, that would probably happen. But has the district gotten any legal advice from the legal counsel as to the legality of putting this forth if it passes?
As I mentioned in my opening comments, Ryan, yes, we're working through legal counsel right now currently, and my next update will be the 22nd of January.
Okay, thank you.
Michael Boucher, Atkinson. I think this article is interesting, and I think it's worth considering supporting. I think that asking for an additional 10% of support, in favor of, more than a 3% reduction, I don't think it's too much to ask. I mean, if you considered what happened last year, the vote was pretty close, so it is potential that something like this wouldn't even affect it if people think the cut's necessary. But one of the reasons I think something like this is interesting to consider is actually a story that happened not too long ago in Croydon, where they were able to cut their budget in half because only 34 people showed up at their deliberative, and with a very slim majority were able to cut their budget in half, and it caused a lot of problems. And to this day they're still trying to recover from that situation, and I think it'd be better to put ourselves in a situation where we're not making huge drastic cuts, because we'll just be in a much bigger problem in the future if we do.
Thank you.
Nolan Pelletier. To speak to Croydon, they did cut it, but then the community was able to basically reverse it because they didn't have stop gaps to keep them from turning it back, and the community came out and they did turn it back over. So it's kind of a moot point. We talked about predictable budgets. Predictable budgets, we don't see that. We see giant increases every year, and it's not a sustainable thing. It's unpredictable every year. I'm worried what the new budget is going to be for not only the SAU, but my town as well. Limiting people, voting is who shows up, unfortunately, and that's in every town. Whoever goes to the polls is who goes to the polls, and they're who decide. And whoever comes to deliberative is who comes to deliberative. So putting this in place is a huge mistake. As to the legality of it, I don't want to speak to that, but there is an RSA for a tax cap, which outlines the guidelines for tax caps. That's a New Hampshire RSA. And according to the RSAs of New Hampshire, there is no way you can technically decrease the budget to zero. The only thing in the RSAs in New Hampshire is that you cannot increase the budget by more than 10% of proposed budget presented to the public. So I'm against this, and I think everyone else should be as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I just want to say that our school budget and the process is not a presidential election or a state election or a town election where every 2-4 years you can just turn it over and you figure out how to handle it. This is a year-to-year issue that affects kindergarteners, seniors, 8th graders, kids. So 1 year of saying, oops, we messed up and cut too far, dramatically affects children. That's why I believe we need a stopgap here.
I'm going to let Mr. Belo speak, and then you, Nolan, okay?
I just want to point out that even our fundamental articles of agreement require a supermajority to change.
Okay.
Which is outlined, correct, in your policy procedure?
No, it's in the articles of agreement.
Okay, exactly. And just to say that, yes, it's determined year to year, but if there is an issue, we do have, correct me if I'm wrong, we do have mechanisms. We can call a special election or a special meeting at any time during the year to address issues that come up, correct?
No,
It's not that easy. The answer is no to that, Nolan.
It's not that, you can't call a special meeting?
Special meetings have very specific parameters and requirements. It's not for anything.
You could raise additional funds by special meeting, correct?
Only in exceptional circumstances.
Okay, so yes, thank you.
Hi, Julia Doherty. I just heard that the proposed budgets have continually increased over the last few years. I just wanted to clarify. So 2024, the proposed was 89.1, and that one passed, right? I hope I'm doing this right.
If you give us a quick second to
Yep.
get where you are, we'll be able to verify what you're presenting.
So not last year's, but the year before that,
So which fiscal year are you looking at?
2024.
Fiscal 24?
So in 2024, the voted budget was $88,246,915.
Okay, and then last year, the budget that the Budget Committee put forward at deliberative before the before the, help me, before they did the cut. What was that?
Give me a second.
Yep.
I don't have.
I think it was around 87, from what I remember, 88,
I think it was more.
88.5.
1 second
Yeah.
before you go further, just for Maria to verify that.
I think that's what I'm looking at, yeah. I'm looking at page 56.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Yep.
It's helpful. We're looking at other documents up here.
I had to remember because the 2025 proposed was that an 81.9 that was made at deliberative. But the proposed budget that the Budget Committee put forward before the cut, I think I should have this number memorized because I said it so many times last year, but.
So these are, so these numbers are before the warrant articles, so what it actually gets voted depends on what warrant articles were. These are just the warrant article 2, which is just the default, and the proposed budget. It's not
Okay.
what actually
So
gets voted.
I won't use actual numbers then precisely, but from what I see, the last 3 years, the Budget Committee has brought forward numbers that are relatively similar, even going down some. They're talking about this big jump after that cut was made at deliberative. Would that be correct?
If I could, perhaps I can illuminate. That's something that I was looking at, trying to figure out.
Yeah.
So we hear how, the numbers are going up, they're constantly going up,
Right.
it's irresponsible. So I looked, so we're all part of one of the 4 towns, and we're all probably familiar with how our towns work and what the cost drivers are for our individual towns, right? And so I was looking, and I went back from fiscal year 2022 to looking at fiscal year 2026 and looked at the towns of Atkinson, Danville, Sandown, and Plastow, just to see what their past budgets, the budgets that they actually passed were and what those increases were. And over that 5-year period, Atkinson increased about 12.5%, Danville increased an average of 7.25%, Plastow also 7.25%, Sandown 6.5%, and the Timberlane School District in that time frame increased 2.75%. So in that time frame, the Timberlane School District increased less than half of any of the 4 constituent towns which make up the Timberlane School District. At that time, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the U.S. inflation rate was between 10 and 11%. We increased 2.75%. Some of that is in your packet. You will see it has to do with teacher salaries going down, also staff going down. So when costs go down, salaries go down, and we have fewer people, that is the way that we were able to do it. But to suggest that year over year for the past 5-6 years, we've gone up dramatically, we've actually underpaced the rate of inflation by a fair margin, just for some perspective. I think that's the direction you were going.
I appreciate you saving.
You bet. Checks in the mail.
Michael Richardson, Atkinson. It's interesting that low turnout's a real problem when it cuts budgets, but it's perfectly fine when they raise them. Restricting government is a good thing. It's a founding principle of this country. This warrant article is a direct violation of that principle. I hope that you vote to not recommend it. We have seen what it takes to get this district to reduce spending as is. I can't imagine what's going to happen to us if that restraint just gets removed completely. This should not pass.
Is there anybody who has any new information?
Sure.
Or to speak about? Oh, sorry, didn't see it.
Ryan LeBrecq. So to address the increase, so, 2018, sheet 53, budget 71 million, 2025, budget 91.8. That's not a small amount, $20 million. I know that's a 7-year period. That's a big amount of money in 7 years for increases. Understood, the spent wasn't there because we over budgeted and we ended up giving back tens of millions as a result. But ultimately, and this is what I say at the town as well, I owned a house for 17 years in a town in a different state. My taxes went up $300 in 17 years. I went to exactly 0 town meetings. I didn't meet the mayor. I didn't meet the town council. I didn't care. I didn't want to talk to them. I'm getting to my point.
Thank you.
If budgets were stable, there would be no problem. We know we need a school and we need to educate the children. We want stability for budgets and we want stability for our own finances. And I feel it's unfortunate that the 1 year there happens to be enough people to actually make change that garbage like this is produced and put
Ryan,
forth.
now I need to stop you because you're kind of throwing some insults.
Some people are garbage men, they make money off of it, it's a good thing.
Okay.
You've got the mic, I'm loud, so all I'm saying is that this is a target to overspend, over budget in order to bring down, in order to reduce the amount that can be brought down, and I agree, it's un-American, and regardless if you're, there's some people that think that $300 million is not enough money for this school district, but as an American,
Okay,
the ability
Ryan.
to affect change in your district, whether it's additive or negative, should be democratic and not different one way or the other.
This is part of the democratic process. Okay, I'm going to let you go, sir, then I'm going to call the article and move it
All right.
to 17.
Just real quick, I'm in full support Article 16, and this is why. We, the collective communities, have voted for the budget committee, for the board, who works with the schools. Every day, they're in and out of it. They have the meetings, they do the work. They have diverse views. There's individuals on the board that have very different views than I do. They have similar views than I do, but we have voted them in to work together to come up with a budget. Fantastic. We have to believe within 3% they're going to be pretty darn close. How are we to just say these individuals that we have voted in have zero knowledge of the schools and what they need? This will help protect them, the individuals we have voted to do this for us.
We have $10 million surpluses.
Okay, I
multiple
closed
years.
the
It's more than
article
3%.
after.
May I respond, Ryan?
I will give you like a 2-minute response as long as it's appropriate.
That's all you got.
Thank you.
So, Ryan, you referenced the budget committee. I just want to be clear here that my opinion is that this warrant article incentivizes the administration to bring forth budgets to the BudCom that are 3% higher than what they are required to be. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to Article 17. Article 17, in-district full-day enrollment by petition. Is petitioner here and like to speak to this?
Hi, I brought this petition forward because while we have our current situation with full-day enrollment, particularly in kindergarten, I see that there is an opportunity to maximize some of our tax dollars. So I'll just read off part of some of the intent that I shared with some of the people who supported this petition. I believe that fully enrolling in our full-day classrooms is an efficient way to maximize our tax dollars by using already appropriated funds for those classrooms. This warrant article intends to resolve the issue of not fully utilizing those classrooms and make sure we do so to their maximum potential. Per district policy, each full-day kindergarten classroom can have up to 20 children. And if you, I know we don't have the slide in front of us, but there was a slide that the superintendent has shared in previous presentations about kindergarten. I actually have it with me. I'll just go over the enrollment numbers for this year. So in Atkinson Academy, there's only 50 full day. There's potential to have 10 more. Danville, you have 33 full day. There's potential to have 7 more. In Pollard, there's 40, so there's actually no potential for any more. And in Sandown Central, there's 57 enrolled, and there's potential for 3 more to be enrolled. And the way I see it is, if the money has already been appropriated for having more students, why don't we create an opportunity to have those enrollment slots filled? And I know that this particular petition seems very vague, and part of the reason that it's vague is that I'm heavily leaning on the development of the policy and how it should be implemented. I'm not going to act as though I have like all the answers for how this could be done, but I do see that there's an opportunity to utilize those funds for a better purpose. We do see that there's a small handful of individuals who enroll in half day. The superintendent already said earlier this evening rather, that some of those half day parents did want to do full day, but they couldn't afford it. So why don't we create a policy that encourages, or rather enforces, the district to actually try to fill those slots if there are available slots by, I believe it's just the day before school starts, I believe is what you said. And the school district can determine what they consider is available. They can determine a way of what determines what an individual who has a financial burden is, or determine a financial burden that they're going through that needs to be removed, and they can figure out a way that they can, I guess, expand enrollment and make it more equitable for everyone. Like I said, I don't have all the answers, but I'm hoping that if this were to pass, the school district will be able to develop that policy, have it reviewed by school board publicly, go through another review process before it's actually adopted. So it's going to go through a lot of individuals and have a lot of minds involved in the process. So hopefully it'll do its intended purpose.
Any comments or questions?
Ryan LeBrecq. I think this is a slippery slope. I understand the intent, and I understand what you're saying. If there's a spot open and it's a sunk cost, the challenge is some of those people that are paying for their kids to go are consciously making sacrifices to do that. I'm not saying that some that can't afford to go, maybe they can't make further sacrifices. We don't know the situation, but for instance, couple A sends their kid, pays the $4,500 and drives a hoopty that's worth $1,000. Family B is driving a $40,000 car because they deserve it and doesn't want to pay the $4,500 to put their kid into full-day daycare. I think it's a slippery slope, if you pick and choose. I mean, how does anybody at the school pick and choose who could fill those spots? Who is more deserving of that. And honestly, I think it's gonna it would open up the district to lawsuits as well from the parents that are paying and making the sacrifices. And again, I sympathize, I get it. I'm not saying there isn't need, but it's a slippery slope.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
So I do also want to add that I know that this article is imperfect. The school board's warrant article to fully fund full-day kindergarten is the correct way to go. Like Mr. LeBrecq said, and I'm glad he acknowledged it, there is definitely a need. Not every family can pay the $4,500. And, I look at this as, it's an imperfect petition for an imperfect system. There's a better article out there if you want to pass that. If you believe that, every family should have fully funded full-day kindergarten. But I do have one suggestion for trying to figure out, if somebody is eligible or not. You could rely on already pre-existing systems like the free and reduced lunch eligibility. You could use that. But like I said, I'm not the one developing the policy. The school district can figure out ways that would be fair for every family to implement it.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Or can we move to Article 18, sorry. Article 18, taxpayer funds for overnight student trips by petition. Petitioner here.
Mrs. Costa, if it is allowed, the petitioner could not be here today, and I will state their name.
That's fine.
And they asked me to read a statement, if that is allowed.
Yes.
Petitioner is Kayla Gallagher from Atkinson. And let me pull up the statement. Statement is as follows. In this economy, people are making huge sacrifices to their personal budget. It is time we look at where and how we spend money in this district. The school board enjoys spending our money because it doesn't hurt them the way it hurts us. We are responsible for an adequate education, and that is where our money should be spent. Overnight trips goes beyond adequacy and into luxury. We shouldn't be asking the taxpayers to spend on luxuries. Students or their families should be responsible for these expenses. And I believe that having students work to fundraise will actually teach them more than handing them things. End of statement. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions or concerns, Mrs. Knudsen?
Yes, we live in all four of these towns. We are not exempt from taxes. We feel any and all of the increases. A lot of these overnight trips are already fundraised, and I believe, Mr. Krieger, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think some of these, the teachers that go, I believe it's also in their CBAs as well. Is that correct?
Correct. In terms of the supervision of students, a lot of those pieces are CBA related and expertly funded that way.
Thank you.
Yes, please. Can I just
Madam
have...
Chair, am I on here? All right. I'm just wondering about the wording of this. Are we voting to see if the district will vote? Is that what we're doing? Yeah. It's written to see if the district will vote. Is that the vote? We're voting to see if the district will vote? I mean, that's not that's not a problem. We can do that. Yeah.
All right, are you all set, Paul?
Well, that, and just to echo that, like, I just look around here. This comes up a lot, especially from a certain group that likes to say this a lot. I raise kids in this district. I have kids in Timberlane. I have a house in Timberlane. I've been here for 30 years. Don, all you, like, that's one of the more ridiculous statements I've ever heard. It's just that we don't understand. I apologize for ridiculous. It's just one of the more untrue things I've ever heard. Because most people sitting here pay taxes, they go to jobs, they have houses, and I'm sure some of us, when we were younger or now, struggle to pay bills just like everybody else. The school board and the budget committee don't have this magic pool of money that we just love to spend. In fact, I grew up in a family that basically said if the government's asking you for money, just say no, they'll figure it out. And sometimes I vote that way. But yeah, it should be clear to all the taxpayers that are watching and listening that this group all the way through. Most of us had kids, we pay taxes, and we're in this community together. With you guys, everybody. Doesn't matter which side you're on. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Mr. LeBrecq?
Yeah, I was just, when I first read this, I was just curious about, and I don't know if you have the numbers, how much funds are being spent on overnight trips? Just for curiosity's sake.
Yeah, we'll prepare some exact numbers soon. As the chair of the school board said, an overwhelming majority of the overnight field trips are self-funded by students and families. And I'd even be willing to say right now that's above 85% of those trips are self-funded by families. Very few of them are taxpayer-funded overnight trips.
It would be good to know the dollars, and also I guess it goes beyond just funds, it's staff dollars if it's salary or hourly supported. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Ryan. We'll work on that. As a total figure, we're looking at about $30,000 a year of district funds toward overnight trips.
Mr. Boucher?
Yeah, I guess guilty. I have a son who does a lot of these overnight trips, and I pay quite a bit of money for these trips. I don't know what the school district's been subsidizing for them. I think Mr. Krieger is correct that most of the students have been, trying to pay for these trips through fundraising of their own, and unfortunately for Diplomacy Club, they're not doing a great job right now, so I had to pay a lot this time. But one of the questions I have actually is about one section of the wording there, staff supervision expenses. If we can't expend any taxpayer funds for that, then we technically can't have any overnight student trips, correct?
Currently, we have overnight trips that happen that staff are going and not being compensated. They're doing that because they believe in that club or activity that they're doing. I would be hard pressed to see that is sustainable over time as we consider the full spectrum. Some of these overnight trips are to foreign countries.
Okay. So without the goodwill of the volunteering efforts of teaching staff, we could potentially lose many of these overnight trips that are extremely beneficial and great opportunities for all sorts of different students.
It's a concern.
I agree, it's a concern. Thanks.
Yep. Well, Mr. LeBrecq spoke in.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I'm not sure if the author of this petition thinks the kids are going to Vegas or like times are tough and maybe it's Atlantic City, but frankly, I think it's embarrassing that we're going to ask a family to tell their child that we can't afford to send you with the rest of your class on this field trip. That's sad. And I think, the middle school class is going to Washington, D.C., and they're going to learn about the Capitol and the buildings down there. So, not all families can afford that, whether they're in business or a garbage man, whatever it might be. I think, again, it's embarrassing that we would ask a family to tell that child that they cannot go.
I'll let this young gentleman go and then Mr. LeBrecq.
Sebastian Shell, Sandown. I just see this amendment or article being completely backwards. I see it like just completely devaluing our district altogether. I was actually on one of those trips to a foreign country. I went to Germany. It was fully funded by myself and my parents, and we funded together. No one is asking the district to pay for a certain group of kids to go to Germany. These are all trips that are educational and support our students. And I just see this article leading to our school shutting down at 2:30 and having no extracurriculars at all. So I see this as like a bad stepping point for Timberlane's future.
Thank you, and I want to thank you for coming and speaking as a young adult. Mr. LeBrecq?
Just wanted to say that I think you mentioned overseas trips. I think the first time I went overseas, I was probably in my, I don't know, could be even 30. we have to get this out of our head that travel overseas or these, like, you're not gonna be a bad student if you don't have that experience. Is that experience wonderful if you can afford it? Absolutely, no different than a a student that's in college that their family supports them to go study abroad. Not saying it's not a great thing to try and do, but it's not a prerequisite for education. We can learn here. We don't need to travel overseas on the taxpayer dollar. If it's
Thank
funded
you.
by the family or fundraising, absolutely. And to the staff portion, can these trips happen with parent volunteers as opposed to teacher volunteers?
They do happen with parent volunteers as well.
But do they have to have teachers there as well?
If it's a school-sponsored trip, yes, we would be responsible for those students' safety and security.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to have Mr. Sherwood.
Thank you very much. I think we may be getting distracted with the overseas trips. I don't think that is where these monies are going. Again, as the gentleman earlier stated, that was completely funded by he and his family. If this passes, what I'm afraid that some of our most gifted students who progress in the robotics cannot go to overnight trips. Our students who are involved with Model UN cannot go on overnight trips. Our students who are in the music department, who are making all state, all New England, all jazz, all state or regional, will not be able to go on those trips. Our students who are athletes will not be, I'm thinking of the wrestling team, will not be able to go to their competitions, to go to their regionals. And when you think about the arts and we think about some of the athletics at Timberlane, these are two of the shining stars that we have had that quite honestly keep our students involved, keep our students as part of the school community, keep our students in school and motivate our students to maintain a grade average when they may not be native academics. Taking those opportunities away for literally pennies on the dollar is foolhardy, and it almost seems to be punitive.
Mr. Hughes.
John Hughes, Danville. So this article and the one before it, I was wondering what the threshold is for advisory only on some of these. Are these all binding, or are any of these considered advisory?
They are petition articles. They're written as they're written. If they pass, we would be trying to figure out what we need to implement, if anything.
Okay, I know in the past we've had some that have been advisory only, so I wasn't sure what that threshold.
I got you. These are currently.
Yeah, Sebastian Shelson. I just want to make myself clear that no one said that these are prerequisites to any educational requirement. These are all, again, excellent opportunities, and it'd be detrimental to the entire district if this went away. Thank you.
Mr. Boucher, do you have any new information?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to add that in addition to the fact that these are not all overseas trips, some of these are also credit recovery trips, where some students use it to help supplement some of their credits, which helps them graduate on time. So, I mean, there's definitely an important reason to have this.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns? If not, I'm going to move on to Article 19, 2.5% local tax cap by petition. Is the petitioner here?
Oh, yeah. Good news is it's the last one, so we're all about to go home. So this is my warrant article. The reason I'm putting this forward is because I want to have a sustainable school budget. We have a lot of people in our community that are on fixed income that are trying to get by. And this will be a vehicle to help that happen. This has been implemented elsewhere. And I encourage everyone to vote for it because we need some kind of stopgap. We need to keep things in check. As stated earlier, there is almost an inverse between money and the student's actual education. There's an inverse relationship there. So keeping things lean, making sure we're running efficient, 2.5% tax cap will help do that. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any comments or questions?
Yes, Chris Tardif, Atkinson. Here we are again. We looked at this last year. There was a committee put together for a 2.5% tax cap of taxpayers from each town. Yes, there are other schools that have this. There are 2 in the district that have a tax cap like this. So here we are again, being one of the minority few that would consider this option. I want to read the 2 sentences essentially that the committee, made up of, again, taxpayers from each town, came up with just a month or 2 ago. The committee was in agreement that under the current legislative requirements, implementation of a 2.5% tax cap would increase risk and uncertainty during the budget development process, and the district could not sustain staffing, programs, or service levels. So again, this has been vetted by the taxpayers. Even people that do not agree with a lot of things that I agree with agreed that this would not work. Also, one quick update on this. I know there's an RSA for it, but it does require 3/5 majority to pass and or be removed. So if we're talking about fairness, it's still a 3/5 majority. It's not just the overall will of the people.
Any other comments or questions?
I'd like to add, just add that tax cap committee that Chris was on, as well as myself and Alyssa Kowalczyk, the report is on the district website, and you can see all of the research we did and the information we gathered. And the one thing I would like to just highlight, in addition to the summary, is that we estimated, because not all the numbers were available at the time we did the research, that this year, if there were a 2.5% tax cap, the increase to the operating budget plus all of the CBAs, everything on the warrant, would have had to be within $1.5 million of the previous year's budget. And that, I didn't do the math, but it's far less than 2.5% of the budget, because it's based on the amount of taxes previously raised. So it's a very, very restrictive warrant.
I appreciate your opinion, and committees derive their answers from who was on it. I mean, there used to be 9 out of 10 doctors, recommend Camel cigarettes. So I just putting this forward, and I hope the community acts upon it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Belo?
Thanks, Peter Belo from Plastow. I've heard twice this evening, once with respect to this petition article, and once from Mr. LeBret there on an earlier one, a statement that there was a inverse relationship between the amount of funding and performance of academic performance of students. And I'd like to see the fundamental research that proves that. I mean, if that's your opinion, say it's an opinion. But if you have documentation that anybody's ever shown that, please show it.
Sure. All right. I'm going to go to this nice young lady.
Deb Hussey Atkinson. I have a question. How many seniors live in your town that are getting Social Security? No, not in you, but I mean, how many seniors do you know from your town live there? Because when you say 2.5, we just got a raise from the government, 2 point something over what we were getting for Social Security. If they were on fixed incomes, you go way beyond that, they are really hurting. Medications have gone up, electricity's gone up, you name it, everything's gone up. And if you don't know how many seniors are in your town, you really need to start asking yourself, how many seniors are you gonna lose in the next coming years? Because you keep upping it up, not that they didn't save, because if you remember in the 80s and 90s, when all of a sudden, a lot of them lost their 401ks, a lot of them. A lot of them are just barely making ends meet. Now some of them become widows. They don't have the 2 incomes coming in, but only 1. They have children that may be out of state, and how much they see or watch over them. Take in consideration how many seniors you have in town and how it's gonna affect them directly. I know you just don't think about it. You know they're there, but you don't know how many there are. It's gonna affect immensely if you don't have a cap at some point. They have brought up their kids through the system. They have paid their taxes all the years. They have paid beyond the years of having kids in the system. And now you're saying, well, we're going to keep raising it. And we don't care what happens to you because our kids happen to have education. The best education is the one the parents give in the home, teaching them right from wrong and how to put their best work ethics in and work hard for what they get and not handed it to them in every situation. Teach them the value of how to work hard for what they need to have and what they need to do. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Mrs. Woodworth?
Hi, this is directed to the petitioner. I would just like to know what the rationale was behind the 2.5%.
Do you want me to make it 2%? Because I can do that too. I mean, it was based off Proposition 2.5, and I think it's a number that we can use. I mean, I don't know why you want the rationale. I mean, that's the number that I chose, so it's a legitimate number. I mean, if I really wanted to put a petition, I would say I'd want it to stay the same every year because at least I would know what I was paying in taxes. So I think this is reasonable.
Mrs. Doherty?
I just wanted to say and respond to the woman just spoke that I do think about the people on fixed incomes. I think many people my age have parents that are in that situation and living that, and I think it's unfair to say that we don't think about that population.
Mr. LeBrecq?
Ryan LeBrecq. To follow up with the previous lady's comments on fixed incomes and things, and most of the reason I speak here is not in support of myself. It's in support of others that may not have a voice or may not have aren't as shameless as me, I guess, is a good situation, or a good description. So I feel like I'm trying to stand up for those that can't afford things. And, the numbers are where it's at, right? Someone that buys a house for $30,000, my parents bought their house for $30,000 back in 1968, whatever the heck it is, right? In this town, $30,000 house is now worth $750,000, and you're getting taxed on $750,000, and you're making whatever you've been able to save up and Social Security. You didn't create that situation. It just happened, and the more we spend, that $750,000 house, you're forcing people to leave that situation and maybe move south to a $300,000 house because they can't stay in their home anymore because they can't afford these regular increases. I mean, what's on this warrant article today on the $750,000 house is almost a $4,000 tax increase in a year. I mean, think about that. $4,000 in a year, that's not nothing. Yes, if you're working, like myself, could I absorb a $4,000 hit? Yeah, I'd be pissed off, but yes, I could because I'm working. But we have an older population, and it's unfortunate that we're not looking at things from a affordability to the community perspective. This provides some stability. Yes, it makes a situation where hard decisions have to be made. Those hard decisions might be, we need to reduce staff, and that's difficult. I've lost several jobs in my career. I bounce back, I find something else, it's no big deal. I work myself out of jobs regularly. Stability is not a thing anymore, so we need to make stability for the taxpayer, and we need this group to make the difficult decisions to bring the cost down while also maintaining good education for our students. And there is an ability to do that. They're not two separate things.
Thank you. I'll take these
So a lot of
last
us
two
here,
people and then be done.
a lot of us here are not here in support of ourselves. We're here in support of the children who do not have a voice in this process. So we want them to have the same opportunities that we had growing up.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that this is a state of New Hampshire issue and not a Timberlane issue. The state of New Hampshire is the lowest in the country for adequacy funding. So if you really have a problem with all of this, take it up with your legislators.
You can wrap it up, sir.
I just didn't know if that was relevant to this, how state funding is relevant to this petition article.
I
Is it?
understand.
No? Okay.
You know what? It goes. All right, we are all set. The next, go right ahead.
Thanks, Liz. There was one question during public input that we wanted to get back to, and I think Maria's got that information, and we'll take the next step toward the conclusion of the public hearing.
When the question was asked of how much money we have spent as of today, I was not having access to the system, so I told you what was as of last week. Actually, this week is a payroll week, so we run a payroll. I now have access to the system. As of today, we have spent $40,814,838. That is a 50% of our entire budget. And as I mentioned before, that is including the months of July and August that are not true fully expensed months.
Thanks for that, Maria.
So next, we have the future dates of the deliberative session, which will be here at the PAC, February 5th at 7 p.m. Bring your sleeping bags. And tax cap public hearings, the 4 towns, the 4 dates will not be non-concurrent. They will be to be determined because that is for which, was it kindergarten or?
The Article 19 for the tax cap requires the district to hold public hearings in each of the 4 towns, and there's a very specific timetable that we would do that before voting day. We'll announce those dates as soon as they're coordinated.
Thank you. Please don't forget to vote on March 10th, and Atkinson will be at the community center from 7 a.m. to 8. Danville will be at their community center from 7 to 8. Blastow will be at the Fish and Game from 7 to 7, and Sandown will be at Town Hall from 8 to 8 p.m. I want to thank everybody for coming here this evening. It's a long process. It's great conversation. This is what democracy is all about. We thank you. And do you have anything else, Justin?
No.
All right, so I'm going to close this public hearing, and we'll see you on February 5th. Thank you.